everyone, it's Cindy. So we're going to do a little kind of partial studio tour. This isn't the before. It's also not quite the after, and it's a focus on only the paper studio, which is what I've been focusing on this week. This studio behind me, I have a big like work sink, and all of the things related to having a fibre studio. And then there's also, some other stuff like a washroom and whatnot. But let me just kind of get into, so this is sort of like, we're in the fibre studio and now we're going to enter into the paper area. Okay, so I'll just do a quick walk to just show you. This is where I film. This is what the rest of the room looks like. In here we have a pottery studio, and right now a great deal of storage. So this is kind of what things are looking like. I'll do a little bit more of a detailed tour in just a moment. This is Toasty. Good morning, Toasty. He's a very happy boy. He's a very good boy. So yeah, he's my little ham who's usually here with me. So, okay, let's kind of backtrack all the way back to the beginning. I'll give you a little look-see at how things are. They're not 100% perfect yet, but they're pretty much getting there, and I'm loving the space already. Okay, so we're back to the beginning. Toasty's here with us. So when you come in, the first thing I've done is I've added this thrifted shelf. I've had it for some time. It used to be on the back of my desk. I've now hung it up here where I used to have like kind of a pin board, a cork board I would use to do just inspiration pinning, like a real life Pinterest, but I thought there's a more functional kind of use for this wall. So here now I have, up here is my watercolor paints, my sanding blocks, and this is one of those big like children's letters stamps. I've got distress sprays and inks, a few of them here. I don't have a lot of distress spray. And then these are alcohol inks and more watercolors. So then this is primarily set up for my punches. That's what my intention was. So these are all the Stampin' Up type punches that I own. Bingo daubers, because I use them for all sorts of stuff. Stickles and things, like sparkly. And then more stamps. So these are my collections of large stamps that don't fit with everything else. Then the rest of the punches. So these are like random punches. These are tiny punches. And this thing, it's like a planner punch. And then I have some mixed media mediums here. And then down below are the bulk of the punches that I use. This is the rest of my punches. So then below it, we have a couple things going on. So there's a cabinet here, this yellow cabinet. I keep all my shipping envelopes and packaging in, and this cabinet is still a bit of a mess. It has like some more watercolors, some random paper and random other stuff. And yeah, it's what I'm calling one of my temporary headaches, because I have a lot of things I'm going to use up, and once it's gone, it's no longer a headache. I've also added, and it's behind my temporary headache here, these two cute little boxes that I'm putting my watercolors in, and I like adding little boxes like that. So I'll show you one of the befores. This nightmare is my fabric primarily, and it's my spinning wheel, one of my spinning wheels on the floor. So this is a definite before. This is my next project. I want to go through all this fabric that I own. I want to like put a cabinet in here, maybe a little desk in here. Not exactly sure how I want to do everything, but mainly I'm going to downsize. And this over here, this closet, it has everything that I use to do batik, fabric dyeing, things that require dyes and waxes and stuff like that. It's all in there. Let's get away from that scary area. Okay, so now we come over here. So This is my daughter's little workspace area, and I've added a roll of paper here, and this little box to just hold whatever she's currently working on, and her little Chromebook and our collage workshop. This is an old school desk, so it lifts up. It's a lot of fun. These are my sewing machines. So this is like my sewing machine area now. It's right next to where I film and where I make paper goods stuff. And this is some of my fibre. So as you can see, it's a little packed away, sort of still accessible, but not getting the love that it should really. But you just can't do everything at once, right? So back here, I keep my extra glues, some parchment and wax papers, and that's the pedal to my sewing machine for my my brunette sewing machine. And then more extra glues and acrylic inks. Then here, I usually have this sewing machine pulled forward. This is like my good sewing machine that I use for sewing fabric like garments. And this is for zapping houseflies because I hate houseflies. I have a real aversion to them. And this is just a sewing basket. So this is going to be my new Ort jar where I throw all of my extra threads. This is, well, that's a costume that I'm editing for my daughter. I have to make the legs a little shorter. And some other stuff that I want to hang. You'll see here and here, there's like a couple blank spaces. I just want to hang some pictures there. Those baskets, they have yarn in them. This is my sort of yarn, well, thread caddy thing. I don't know. It holds my big threads. I don't remember the official name of it. And then this is the machine that I use to do all of my sewing of paper. And then I have my iron back here. It's cordless, which is great. And down here, this is what I'm calling another temporary headache. So it's a few projects in process, and also it's the extra fabric scrap fabric bin that I have. I want to get down to 1 from 2, so I'm planning to do some covers out of fabrics that I really want to use. So then down here, this is another issue I have right now I'm trying to sort out. So this is a basket, and underneath it, there's a file folder. And I'm trying to understand how to organize all my fussy cuts. Because see, these are all in individual bags. Then this is just my recycle bin that needs to be emptied. Down here, I just keep my paper cutter and my brick, a few other bits and bobs, nothing terribly important. I've set this up for my woodblock stamps. I don't have a lot of woodblock stamps, but the ones that I do, I like to display them because I think they look nice. This is just a picture I got thrifting that I find really inspiring. This is some antique peg stamps and some other letter type stamps. Okay, and then here, where all the magic happens for me, really, where I make YouTube videos. This is where I sit on a Cantha quilt and I film. So let me pull this chair out and I'll tell you what's going on. So I have a natural wood shelf up here. And on it, we have some yarn projects that are currently waiting to be finished. This I need to work on. I have to put something a little heavier here to hold these books up. But these are my kind of, this is the creativity sampler. That's one of my daily journals. And then I have a box here that I want to make a project out of, and then just some, that's my tech bin where I keep all my cables and stuff, and just some other random stuff. I do need to stand that up straight though, it's going to drive me a little kooky. So then I have 3 key lights at the top here, and then this big shelf at the back is kind of what inspired me to do this whole project, believe it or not. Other than it just really needed to be done because it was hectic in here. I got this shelf and thought it would be way bigger and better than the one I had before. So I'll go through what I have here. So this is kind of, when you see me reaching for something during a video, it's because I'm reaching for it back here. So up here I have a little scoreboard and just one of my daily journals. And then I have some thread and yarn bits and bobs, a big roll of labels, my tapes and my Ex Libris labels and Post-its. This has elastic cord in it for making closures. These are extra inks. This is beads and findings and eyelets. This is my glass nib pen, and some other things, like kind of random, a bit of ink, a bit of paint, my little fabric cutter that I use on paper. These are inks and other kind of special things that I use, different kinds of sparkly things and stuff like that. And then I have some, what's it called? Waxed linen. Then these are my stamps. So in this and in this are all of my smaller, like acrylic, stamps, the smaller ones. Then down here I have some fussy cut papers, little cutting tools, like little mats, my watercolors and my Moonbee book stamp, and just some other little paper bits that I want to use, and my tabs that I mark my my signatures with. These are some paper prompts in a jar, and then some random bits and bobs for trying to use things up. I have that little jar of things. I have here baby wipes, a little jar of clips that I use when I'm binding books, my stamp letters, and my tab punch that I use frequently, and some extra tools that I use sometimes, but not all the time. This is the word bin, the word snippet bin. There we have some chocolate, for emergencies, and my crocodile tools. And then down here we have inks. I have Woody's, I have Distress inks, my Stays On, and other like stamping type inks. And then we have some gold, some gilding waxes, and then some more glues. And then down here, this is where I plug things in. These are my GoPro battery charger holder. And then over there we have, this is a little Amazon device. I won't say the name of it because it will wake it up. And that's a little, let me see if I can move this. That's a bin of little Tim Holtz people primarily. And then if we talk about like what's on my desk. So I'm sitting here, this is a daylight lamp here. I have another one there. So when I'm filming, I will have those on typically. So it's a 5-light system right now. Plus I have overhead lights, which sometimes can cause some shadowing. So I'm still kind of perfecting that. It's really hard to recreate daylight when you don't have daylight. So, anyways, okay, so on the tabletop, these are my glues. I keep my art glitter glue and my 3-in-1 or Fabri-Tac glue. I go back and forth in this heavy salt-fired ceramic jar that was made by my friend, because it's a nice heavy thing. They're not falling down all the time. So I have paper towels back here. This is my like frequently used, or not frequently used, but use it up bin. Things, little bits and bobs that I need to use up. This is yesterday's tea and today's coffee. And my glue stick, which usually hangs out somewhere on the table. Then I have this, which is my Ort. I learned that name from Anne Brooke. It's the name that she gives to the jar of random threads from stitching and whatever projects. This is my felted needle holder thing, and it's like a pin cushion, but it's far too densely felted, so I probably should stop using it. This is just a spray bottle of coffee with alcohol in it. This is my painty water. Then I keep over here near my device, I keep my frequently used inks. So these are Vintage Photo and Black Soot. Then I have a Stays On, and then these are my ink daubers. I just keep them in a little tin. I just keep 4 there. Then this is my frequently used tool bin. There's 2 sections. This is like every constantly used, and behind it relatively frequently used. And then here I have one of these 4-tier cabinets. So we have in it findings like metal bits, cogs, whatnot. Up front though, clips and eyelets, brads. Here we have tons of little screws that I use in place of a brad to put the the metal journal labels on the front of a cover. And then behind it, I have some other journal closures that are metal. Here I have my paper clips and rusty paper clips. Behind it, other kinds of clips and safety pins. Then eyelets, book corners, and brads. So like that's all the metal bits that I use frequently. Up here, I have many of these things going on right now. So number one, this is like sticker washi tape and little 6x6 papers that I really want to use up. And I keep my stapler on top. My stapler is the only thing that should be there, but I really want to use this stuff up, so I'm keeping it close. Behind it is an ephemera book and my Zoom that I use for recording podcasts. And then I keep this little post-it notebook here because I use it to write little memos on things. This is my napkin holder that I use to hold my signatures when I'm not working on them. And then my cutter, my little mini cutter for cutting paper, and my other frequently used tools bin. And I keep a metal ruler here kind of at all times because I use it constantly. So when I'm filming, my husband actually built me this thing. He's more of a film geek. He's worked in the kind of indie film industry, and he's very good at this kind of stuff. So this thing is like a long it's about 5.5 feet, and this is where my camera sits. So it sits in here. I have a mic here, and I can actually slide this the full length of this, and I have a secondary bar like this one that's actually 10 feet long. So if I wanted to, I could have like a massive space where you could see me sewing over there, or whatever, right? But I don't feel like I need it right now. Then I also hang my heat gun up here. And I use these little holes in this thing, pardon me, to hold onto my clips. Also, it's magnetic, so I've got all my magnets here, and they hold my frequently used big paper clips for when I'm binding books. I keep this masking tape here because I use it frequently. And then over here, I keep this. It's just a bag with these fabric bits in it that I make sort of scrappy covers out of. So then under my desk, I have a few things. So these are molds for making like silicone shapes of things. And these are to be processed magazines. Behind it is a huge bag of cardstock. Then I have about 3 different scrap bins. So this one is for backing things. It's like packaging paper, random paper. This I actually just created. It's a whole box of like little fancy papers that I want to use up. Then this is my scrap bin. So then we come over here. Now we're beside the desk, right? I will start from the top. Okay, so up here we have a very annoying light. So that's a project in process that I'm not working on right now. And then I have some other books here that are going to be upcoming. So I've got all of those Snuggle Pot and Cuddle Pie books because I want to make some journals with them. Then I have some old gardening books that I want to do garden gnome journals with. And then I have these. One of them holds my stamps, and the other is like one of those floral Victorian albums. Then we get to this thing, and I love this thing. So this is thrifted. It's a wooden slotted file cabinet. So I had my husband attach it to the wall for me because I'm so bad at that. And so he did it for me. So in here are all of my current in progress projects. That's what all these black wire bins are. Then down here, this one's currently empty, but this one, it has all of my, not necessarily fussy cuts, but like little bits of paper that I want to use up. So I'll go this way again for a bit to just tell you, I put this little shelf here. This holds my extra paintbrushes, rulers, a pencil case of other pencils, and a lint roller. And then I have another triple tier small cabinet there. So here we have, this is a felted mat for stitching on my Marguerite Miller book, and then some other books that I want to use for videos and journals and things. And then this is the original Tuesday 10 bin. Then I have my my wipes for, cleaning up messes. So then shelf 1. This is fussy cut, or not fussy cut, sorry, die cuts. This is my wireless router extender. These are my washi tapes. These are whatchamacallit, little stitched clusters. These are old pieces of scrappy like book spine, and those are buttons. That's my die cutting machine, and underneath it all of my dies, and beside it is my laminating machine. This giant wood crate is all of my scrap fabric that I am trying to use up. So I'll go upward. Okay, so here we have a big tub of glue and a big tub of black gesso. Then we have another, so I'll go back up. So you see this teal colored shelf. There's another one right here, and they are made from old drawers that I've taken out of dressers, and I use them as cube shelving. I love them. So we have in here like sticker books. Whoops, that's my alarm. 1 minute. Okay, sorry. We have envelopes. We have lots of those photograph albums, poetry books, things I frequently use in journals, and just kind of some other things that are in the same vein, dictionaries, you know, that kind of thing. So then I'll go up, and we have all these hooks here, and I've organized all of my, well, not all, but a lot of my ribbon and lace that I use in journals, and my yarn. So it starts here: red, orange, yellow and green, blue and purple, pink and kind of, you know, peachy tones, whites and creams, blacks and metallics, and then yarns. Okay, so then we get to, hold on, this dresser. So it's a vintage dresser, and it has these really great legs, but I had to take them off to fit it under this table because I needed the space. I was a little depressed. I didn't have enough space to keep these two things separate, but it's fine. It will work. And it just means I need to downsize a few things. But it does give me this nice space to put all this beautiful big handmade paper. And beside it, I have another wire drawer of fussy cuts. Maybe I'll start from the top. On top of it, we have another tiered paper shelf. So up top is large papers, like very big paper. And then underneath it, we have some folders. Then we have packaged things like laminating papers and labels. And then here we have just some full size paper, like old printer paper, watercolor paper. These are, again, various things like different kinds of art papers, watercolor paper, folders, all sorts of stuff like that, photo paper. Then this is mainly folders and envelopes. And then down here are like little notebooks and things. And then down there are kind of different papers like construction paper, connect the dots paper, etc. So then on top of this desk, okay, so the big nightmare right now, but I love this thing and it's probably never going to change, is this. So this is like a basket, 2 tiers. It's like leather. And inside of it, I keep all my paper. So you can see these are all the papers that I have currently dyed. This is coffee dyed paper and, you know, boiled books and all different colored dyed papers. So this is what I grab from when I'm making a journal, all these papers, okay? National Geographic, all of it. And then down here, it's more of the same, except far less organized. And I need to go through it all. It doesn't have the same room to jut out that the stuff up here does. So it lays kind of unorganized and flat for now. Then over here, okay, so we're on the tabletop now. I'll start on this side. So this is my like bigger tool bin. I've got my large crocodile, my tapes, other scissors, whatnot. And then here I have like little random cards and things. This is an extra ephemera holding book that I want to use up. It's got stickers and stuff. And then this is a wooden box. I use mainly wooden boxes and crates to sort all my ephemera. So I have some tarot cards, CD folders, library cards, little envelopes, little dyed index cards, different kinds of tags and labels, and you know, different kinds of random ephemera stuff. And it gets bigger toward the back. Then this little bin here, this is my currently made ephemera and covers that I have in process. So when I make things on Tuesday 10, they go in here. And then under here, let me move this aside. This is just a bin of handmade paper. And then this is some tissue paper. It's like sandwich shop type tissue paper. And then this is sitting on top. It's Rolodex and cards, extra cards. And then we have another ephemera bin here of kind of, you know, like pre-made manufactured ephemera like this. And then other little bits and bobs like things that I've dyed and whatnot. And then over here, more of that, like envelopes. This is more vintage ephemera, and then some more stickers. And then this is like antique photos, vintage photos, cabinet cards, vintage postcards. And then back here, we have more like larger vintage cabinet cards and stuff. Okay, and then I'm going to back up again. So we'll come all the way back. Sorry, my hand's in the picture. Hi, Toasty. So then we'll come here right beside the mess of like the to be soon sewing studio. So up here, this basket has my yarn winder and my Swift. And then we have a little Captain Kangaroo page here. But then on this cabinet, this is a little cabinet. So it's a little teak cabinet. I keep scarves and stuff for felting. And then like yarn, sequins, more yarn. There's more than just yarn in there, but, and then a whole bunch of embroidery floss. Then up top, I keep my glue sticks and my glue gun. This is overflow of vintage books. Then underneath it, this is a box of flowers. Behind it is one of my sewing kits. That's part of the studio, sewing studio stuff. And then this is all of my wax and whatnot, sealing wax. Okay. So then if we come back over here, let me just back up a little bit. So where to begin? Okay, so this is my stash of vintage books, and it goes, I would say two stacks deep. I don't need more vintage books, right? We have enough. It's not all vintage books. Like you can see through this crack, there's other stuff back there, but I do have a lot. Then this is like just random stuff I need to deal with. Silk cocoons and milkweed for spinning projects, knitting needles, and my deer that I got from, let's just say a yard sale, and a very eccentric man who really, really wanted me to have it because he thought it was my spirit animal. That's another story for another day. Yeah, so this is my 90 cabinet library cabinet that I'm in love with. I'm currently in the middle of doing this. I need to add these to each one of these. There's a few that are randomly done. These are going to be removable so that I can change out what's in there. But you know, it's a lot of magical stuff in here. Miniatures and woodcuts. This is where I keep all my embossing powders. Clock cogs and plastic flowers. This is where I keep a lot of my mixed media stuff. These are glues and weird cabinet holder things, frames and slides, patches, a few buttons, this kind of stuff. So yeah, each one of these is like a different thing. This is where I keep my frequently used like embroidery floss. Extra stationery and tools, wood things, pom-poms and lace, weird things like transistors and clips. And yeah, so this is its own kind of, yeah, we have all these dental teeth, wooden rulers and plastic vintage toy figurines, pom-poms, crochet things, a whole bunch of Barbie doll hands and little shoes, feathers, an old passport, and some other stuff. My birds. This is like appliques, little Pokemon characters to spin into yarns and acorns. Barbie doll heads, skeletons, plastic things. Porcelain flowers, more silk cocoons, dried flowers, marbles, locks and keys. A whole bunch of these little tiny cats, and more dried flowers. These are trims and bias tape. These are shells and corals. More trims and bias tape. Barbie doll parts and birds. Wood bits and bobs. Clay stuff. More shells and things. More silk cocoons and clips. More toys. We got some Fraggles in here and skeletons. Tickets and more doll hands. This can go up here with the other doll hands. Goodness. Mushrooms. Sprigs of stuff. Doll parts. Smurfs and My Little Ponies. Also some Gumby. These are like trims and things that I got from Qatar. Little bits and bobs. Jewelry stuff and mosaic stuff. I'm going to get my chair because I'm like in a weird position. Sequins and sparkles. More sequins and sparkles. Some extra tools for bookbinding and little buttons and things. More shells and doll parts. More Barbie doll heads. Toys. More Barbie doll heads. Peg dolls and stamps. Those could go in the other stamp thing, but that's okay. Little Winnie the Pooh people. Lace, eyes. Ping pong balls and babies. All sorts of little kawaii fruits and cakes. More Barbie doll heads. More Barbie doll heads. Eyes. More eyes. Gnomes. Keys. Cogs. Stuff. Eyes and grapes. More inks, extra ink. Buttons. Buttons again. Barbie doll heads. Clowns, babies. Clamps for putting things on like rings and yarns. Scary clown. Buttons. More buttons. Little eggs and more Barbie doll heads. More buttons. Wood buttons. Nothing. These are like beads and jewelry bits. Semi-precious stones. This is like trims and beads. More trims and beads. More trims and beads. All right, we're getting there. And then these are these little oogie guys. I don't really know what I'm doing with those. Grapes. More stationery. Pens and markers. Felts. Wire. Eyes. And very last, stamps. Okay, under here we have jelly printing stuff and more jelly printing stuff, like all the masks and the stencils. Okay, so now we're over here. We've reached almost to the office section. Okay, so here I have a little skinny bookshelf. These are my frequently used books that I tear things out of. I'll give you a little close-up. There's some Edith Holden. Okay, and then down here, this is my project, and an ice pack apparently, that I'm doing to put the labels on that cabinet. These are my book pages that I've kept from old books. This is what I'm calling my temporary headache. It's that big basket of doll books that I got in an estate auction. And underneath it is a bin with natural things like tree bark, dried leaves, etc. So then we get over here. This is my Pottery Studio, and this is a piece of felt art that I made some time ago. This is my smart TV that usually my daughter watches when she's hanging out down here. And my computer, that's my personal computer, my work computer, my printer, one of my printers, that's my new printer actually, and my older printer that I love. These are things that need to be scanned, my scale for weighing packages. These are things that need to be scanned. Okay, so then this is the shelving that I just put up this week with my husband. So this is all, almost, not quite, but most of my books that I'm going to use for cutting for projects, like, you know, for junk journals and whatnot. So there's all sorts here. We have like Sears Roebuck, birds, fungus, photography books. These are all children's books that inspire me, that are little paper cover books. I'll give you a kind of just a wander across this first bookshelf, because it would take too much of my breath to tell you what all these books are. Okay, there's some nice old books. And then up here, second shelf, it's the same thing. Okay. Then over here, which is like my new favorite little section, I think. So up here we have old scrapbooks and ledger books and an album full of old bookmarks. Then right there, in this little tin, that's my 52 tags. I'm working on a cover for it. That is a fly strip. Ignore it. I hate flies, as you know. This is big paper. And then over here is foam to make stamps, handmade and other large paper. This is my gigantic book. That's a huge book of newspapers. Then these are ledgers, and these are vintage postcards. And you'll see more of those teal drawers that I use as shelves. Love them to bits. So these are time cards. This is for another project I'm doing on folktale storytelling. This is my big book of ideas that I have not really been using. These are ginkgo leaves, and this is where I keep all of my kind of like multi-use fabrics. So cheesecloth for bookbinding and fusible web for making like fabric projects. Then these are extra tools, paint samples, and a candle. And then here we have those two big books. Then all my small books that I pull from, they go right across here. Field guides, vintage My Book House books, guest books, and so on. This is my couch that mainly my daughter hangs out on. This is another shelf. It's a teak shelf that's going to go right there. To put some stuff on. Then down here, I have my Ideals magazines. These are coloring books. These are like, you know, paper-related magazines. National Geographics and a couple other nice magazines. Extra lace. I have 2 boxes worth of extra laces. Vintage magazines. And then down here I have this little cabinet. So these are where I keep all my papers I print on, and then extra underneath. And then I have a filing cabinet in there that's for like my own kind of stuff. Then down here we have behind the couch this hidey hole where I keep all my, these are for printing, like coffee printing paper. They're those doilies. And then this is my big rolled papers. So Korean handmade paper, canvas, all these big papers I keep in this great big basket. So I think we have reached the end of this little kind of tour at, I would say Paper Studio is at probably 85%. Down there in that dark corridor is where I do all of my dyeing. You'll see a washing machine there, a bunch of flowers. I do eco dyeing, have a big sink there. It's not neat, but also when you come down the stairs over here, there's like all this beautiful old schoolroom shelving. And I have that set up kind of like a little shop. It's where I keep all the things that are in my shop, some of my packaging and mailing related stuff. But yeah, that is the gist of the studio right now. And oh, I forgot to mention, over here in my fibre, this is where I'm like, if I spin this, I will empty these cubbies. I've emptied one and I keep my paper cutters in there. So all good. Anyway, so that is probably like Paper Studio at 85%, the rest of it probably at like 40%, maybe a little lower if we consider what needs to happen in that corridor where all my sewing stuff is. So yeah, I am exhausted, kind of. It was a big week or more of cleaning and organizing and purging. I'm looking forward to doing more purging. But I hope you had fun just kind of looking at all this stuff. Hopefully it's given you some ideas about how to make your space a little more efficient for you. I feel like I come down here and it's a breath of fresh air. Even my husband's like, oh, it's so nice here now. Because I think before he'd come down to bring me tea and he'd be looking around for what little hovel I was hiding in. But now it's a very open space. And even my daughter likes being down here. So yeah, it's good. Try to do something for yourself that is of this ilk. Give yourself a space you feel good in because it's so worth it, right? So anyways, thank you so much for hanging out with me. If you haven't yet subscribed, I would love it if you did. And have a great day. Bye for now.